So for more on this ongoing war in Ukraine, let's bring in CBS News foreign policy and national security contributor, H.R. McMaster. He also served as the national security advisor in the Trump administration from 2017 to 2018. Thank you so much for joining us. I kind of want to start with the news that the U.S. has pledged it's $3 billion in additional military aid for Ukraine. And as I understand it, some of this aid, some of these weapons, they won't see the battlefront for years, which suggests a years-long commitment to this battle. In the meantime, we're learning that European nations, for the first time, have not pledged any additional military aid in July to Ukraine. And when I heard that, I thought, is the U.S. going to be left financing a sort of a dispute or war that doesn't seem to have an end in sight?
Well, Anne-Marie, it is a long war already, and it's going to be even longer. And I think this was quite apparent from the very beginning. But now, apparently, we're just starting to come to grips with this, that this is going to be a long war. And therefore, we have to provide the weapons to the Ukrainians so that they can defend themselves along a 1,850-mile front. I mean, the straight line distance really from almost New York to Houston is what they're defending across right now. And why this is in our interest is Ukraine is not some like just backwater country. It's really in the heart of Europe. And we know from Putin's behavior across his 22 years in power now, right, beginning in 2000, that there is no such thing as an off-ramp for Putin. It's just a chance for him to look for another on-ramp. So if Putin is going to be defeated, and if Russian leadership at some point can be convinced to rejoin the community of civilized nations, Ukraine has to be able to win this fight. And winning, of course, is defending the territory they're retaining. Russia right now occupies about 20% of Ukrainian territory, but it's going to require taking back some of that territory. And according with from what President Zelensky has said his objectives are.
But if there's no off-ramp for Vladimir Putin, does that mean also there's no off-ramp for the U.S. in its continued, giving of military aid?
It's like an ongoing proxy war.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's not a proxy war, Errol. I mean, Ukraine got invaded, right, in 2014. And Russia has been subverting that country since at least 2003 when they poisoned a presidential candidate and permanently disfigured him. So it's not a proxy war. This is Ukrainians fighting to maintain their freedom. They're facing a choice right now. Or do you want to be a colony of Russia, or do you want to be an independent nation that's part of Europe? And that's why they've demonstrated such tremendous will. So we're not fighting this war for exclusively our interests. We're fighting it to support a country that has been brutally invaded and victimized by a dictator in the Kremlin.
But I guess my point is that the U.S. is supporting Ukraine. President Zelensky himself, though, has issues internally with his security service, with potential treason, people being investigated for treason, more than 1,200 people. Ivan Bakanov, the head of Ukraine's domestic security service, he dismissed recently, raising concerns in the U.S. that all of these funds, all of this money to fight back Russia may in fact be mishandled. How confident are you that Ukraine itself is secure?
Well, Errol, this is a big point in Russia's information war against us, right? So Russia has done a very good job because, the Soviet Union was very good at this as well, at political subversion to attack our will. And there's been some good work on this recently. There's a foreign policy article out recently about how Russia has really energized its disinformation machine, especially the cyber-enabled information warfare machine, to raise these doubts, right, within Ukraine, but across Europe and in the United States. Of course, there is a fifth column within Ukraine. It's been cultivated by Russia since Putin came into power, at least in the year 2000. There are fifth column activities all through Europe. Germany, of course, has been significantly subverted by Russia with, the buying off of elites like Gerhard Schroeder, the former chancellor, who mortgaged Germany's energy security and gave Russia coercive power over Germany's economy. So this is just part of the fight, right? There's a physical battleground, Errol, but there's also this battleground of perception and information that is aimed at subverting will.
We know there's a lot of propaganda out there, and it's difficult on both sides, it's difficult to sort of determine what the truth is. But I find this very, very interesting. Vladimir Putin's approval rating is apparently quite high in Russia. I can understand how you can lie about the invasion and don't call it a war, but you can't lie about the bodies coming back. And at this point, I would think every Russian city and town has seen a body of a young man come back. But still, Vladimir Putin seems to have the ability to control the narrative and control his approval ratings.
Yeah. Well, Anne-Marie, I don't think you can believe it all. Now, I'm not an expert at this, and I talk to people who are experts. Some of the opposition figures who have had to flee Russia because of the threats to their lives. But of course, what he's done effectively is stoked sort of jingoistic nationalism, this sentiment for revanchist behavior that he's engaged in. But I think you're pointing out something really important, right? They're calling this a special military operation. Hey, there's at least 60,000 casualties, right? At least 15,000 killed in action, probably more than that, and also the effects on the economy and so forth. And so I think this is really the two clocks are ticking, right? There's a clock that is our will, and this is relevant to the question that Errol raised. Will we maintain the West's will, such as the West exists, right? And among NATO and European Union countries and the Ukrainians themselves, obviously. And how is Russia's will going to be affected? Is it going to be affected by the casualties, as you mentioned, by the economic conditions, by the fact that Putin has turned Russia into a pariah state? I mean, there are restrictions now on Russian tourists, for example, in Europe. And I think really what we ought to be trying to do maybe more aggressively is poke some more holes in Russia's information walls to help the Russian people get access to different information. Putin's approval ratings are highest among those who get all of their information through state media. So if there are ways to get through that firewall, I think that could be helpful in terms of maybe helping the Russians understand how he's not acting in their interests. The other interesting thing, Anne-Marie, is that he hasn't been able to mobilize, right? So there's some real checks on his behavior. They're trying to raise these kind of volunteer battalions in towns and small cities, but they can't mobilize because I think he's afraid people won't do it. People won't join the armed forces, and that would elicit some significant opposition.
Well, by the way, to your point, and we're just running out of time, but to your point and Anne-Marie's point, there was that Russian paratrooper in the Washington Post earlier this week that spoke exactly to that. Went on a mission thinking it was one thing, found out it was completely different, and he wants everyone to know there's misinformation in Russia. H.R. McMaster, always great to chat with you. We should have a regular fact check. Really appreciate your insight today.
Great to be with you.